Welcome to this meeting of the Alcohol and Gambling Licensing Committee. The first item on the agenda is the evacuation procedure. That we've got no mention of the public, so are you all happy that we take those as read? Yeah. Okay. Apologies for absence. So I've been notified of one apology, which is Councillor Farrow and Councillor Phillips. Haven Phillips is subbing. Are there any others? Yeah. Just to clarify, I'm sure Sophie will correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is the reason we split our committees into two licensing committees is that the law says that on Alcohol and Gambling Committee we shouldn't have any substitutes, but we can on the taxing and licensing. So that is so if Hayden you abstain from voting in the Alcohol and Gambling section.
Thank you, Chair.
No, which is the meeting we're having now.
This is the meeting we're having now.
The first one, yeah.
So I can't move that motion, can I?
Yeah, that's correct. Nobody's projected to me not reading it. Agenda item 3 is disclosure of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Do we have Councillor Phillips?
I am listed as being on Woodend Hall Committee, but we have just submitted our gambling licence again. So I just thought I'd just bring it up to make sure it's noted.
Thank you for that.
Being like me, that's me as well, but,
Okay. But you're not voting.
but I'm not voting.
Councillor Osborne.
Yeah, non-pecuniary.
Okay. Chair.
Chair, in terms of voting rights, I'll have a look at that and get back to you, but it doesn't seem correct.
Yeah, that was the advice we had from your predecessor, which is why we split the.
I think
I've never been totally happy with it, so we were going to look into it. I think Sharon is going to speak to the group of other councils to see how they do it.
Yeah, Chair, I have spoken to a few other councils today, and they do it. They just have one committee.
Yeah, so I think it would. We've spoken about this before. I think it would be sensible if we could look at going back to one committee if we could do that. So perhaps we could have some kind of report or feedback on that.
Yes, definitely.
Inviting towards public participation, but I don't see anybody. No. The agenda item Friday is the minutes of our last meeting, which was 12 months ago on the 28th of January 2025. Should we all have a copy of the minutes in front of us? Does anyone wish to raise any comments on page 5? Or 5/1?
I'll move the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Chunky. Do you have a second for that? Okay, all in favour? That's it. Okay. Just before we move on, it is 12 months since our last meeting, and we did say the feeling of this committee at the last meeting was we would possibly like to have one meeting a year, even if we can make it 2 or 3. So again, nothing's happened in respect to that, but if we could perhaps couple of the reports that we've got tonight, perhaps if they come to us earlier in the year for us to sort of agree to go out to consultation, we could then tonight be looking at actually sort of accepting the feedback and issuing the policy. So maybe that would be a way of getting an extra meeting in the year. So that's still the feeling of the members that we would like to meet as a full committee more often than we have been. We have had a few meetings this year of the subcommittee, and I sort of done some good work. We've had the training that we've started, but if we could, I think if there was a way of getting us to meet as a full committee more than once a year, it would be a good idea. Councillor Osborne.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'd support that. I do remember that we spoke about it before. I think we also spoke about some training and awareness of licensing principle for the members of the board. I've just had a quick look in it, and it does recommend that board members should have that training. That's where apparently the substitute element comes from, but it is legal to have a substitute. It's not illegal to have a substitute. The other thing, I think, if we met a little bit more often, it'd be, at the minute, every 12 months seems like a bit of a rubber stamp for things. And I think we need to give the licensing trade, gambling, taxes, a little bit more attention than we normally do in supportive ways. as well as enforcement ways in equal measure. There's a lot of rules, changes, things coming through the pipeline. Like you quite rightly point out, Chair, it'd be good to get ahead of those a little bit better than we do. And I, for one, would like to see evidence of the licensing checks that we've done, the work that we've done with the police, discuss how that's going, that sort of thing. I think that this committee here is what that should be heard in. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, those are good points, Councillor Osborne. I think I've got Councillor Clues. Should we take Councillor Clues first again?
Thank you, Chair. I think another thing as well would be some updates would be good. Because as local members, we get asked the questions, and I know there's some things that you can't tell us, but like there was something happened in Atherstone the other day, and of course it was not going. Then what's going on? Well, we can't tell them all that. Would be good, because when they see police cars in the town, they don't assume it with anything other than something major. So every now and again it would be an update to councils in their area if anything is going on. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sophia.
Did you want to?
Sorry, Councillor Farrell, I didn't see you.
Thank you, Chair. It's just I'd like to support what has been said about learning more rather than just one. I mean, I've been on this committee for long. I'm on a learning curve, but it's exactly what you said about the changes and everything. Just for one time in 1 year, I don't think it's really suitable, and we need to have one or two more during the year. So we're keeping on top of it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Through you, Chair. Would quarterly meetings be sufficient to have one each quarter?
I think that would be ideal. Yes, yeah. Everybody agree with that?
I'll support that.
I mean, there's no point in meeting for the sake of it. We do need to have certain things, but the ideas that we've brought, I think.
Yeah, and I think what we'll do, we'll look at, so normally you have subcommittees to reduce the amount of work coming into a main committee, but if the main committee is only once a year, I sort of question what the subcommittees, or why there's a need for the subcommittee. So I think we'll look at all of that and come back with some proposals. But quarterly seems to make sense. It's what most of the other committees.
Through you, Chair. In terms of training, there was training in the later part of last year, and that was premises licence. I'm still trying to arrange the taxi licensing. I think the barristers have been a little busy, and therefore I've had limited dates for return back. So as soon as I get dates, I will forward them to you.
Thank you. And the training was very useful and very good. And I think it was very positive feedback I had from everybody who attended. So I think I'd be certainly happy to have the same trainer again for the Ray Jarvis. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think we support the quarterly ones, but if what we've done on my board is make sure that the quarterly ones tie in with the ones that you're taking reports from. So you don't something that's going to give a report out in May, but the meeting you have is in April. So it's tying them into where the reports come from. Make sure that our meetings just after that, not just before. So it sort of gels together better that way.
Councillor Clues.
Thank you. As well as these 40 ones, I think it would be good, not just the training on this, but the training on when we have an hearing, because I think there's probably one or two that's not done many hearings. I mean, me and Councillor Jarvis has been on the licensing from when we first started, so we've done quite a few, same as you, Chair. And it's not easy. As we've always said, you could be taking somebody's livelihood away from them, you could be taking somebody's job away from them. So it's an hard decision. So I think some training for those that's never sat in an hearing that can sit that would be good to explain the circumstances, what can surround it all.
I absolutely agree with you, Councillor Clues. It does seem to be the same people who do the hearings each time, or a small group of people. But I appreciate not everybody can make it in the day to do those hearings, but if you can, I think it's well worth, it's what this committee is all about. It is, as you say, protecting the community and to take into account people's livelihoods as well. So it makes some really important decisions in those subcommittee hearings. And if you get the chance to put your name forward for one, I would sort of recommend that we do. It's what this committee is all about. If there's no more comments on that, I'm going to move us on to agenda item 6, which is the budget proposals. And Paul, I'm hoping you will be able to talk us through this.
Councillor's going to kick off for that.
Okay, thank you.
Stuff for them to do.
We've got the budget report split into two. So we've got fees and charges and the revised 25-26 budgets, all included in the report. And 26-27 budgets, original budgets as well. As you can see, for 25-26 original, we've made a lot of changes. We've removed central support, so you've got no more central support going forward. So the comparison between the original and the revised makes a bit of difficult, but 25-26 revised to 26-27 original can be compared. And fees and charges are being the majority of them are set around inflation, and it excludes anything that is under specific acts. They are not increased by inflation.
Just a quick supplement. So, just on central support. So, the methodology that's been used previously is for all support services to be spread across all of the services. To be honest, it's been done in a really odd way, and this committee is probably the best example of that. So what you can see from the table at 3.1 is that the employee costs in the original budget for Sharon's team weren't actually put through and brought through into the committee, which absolutely I would have expected them to have been, and only the central support amounts, which appear below the line, below the expenditure line, were pulled through. So there was some. So central support's been stopped in most authorities for a number of years. For the budget, we've taken the decision to take it out. We've made the point that it's very difficult to do the comparisons. We can't go back and change the original budget because it'd be a huge piece of work to go through and to make those changes to central support. So we're focused on making sure that the revised estimate's correct, which we now believe it is, with the appropriate direct salaries coming into the committee. But also that obviously the income relates to each area is fed through as well, and that's relatively easy.
Thank you both. Are there any questions or comments from members? Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Paul. I noticed that you just quite rightly alluded to that the increase of inflation is 3.8. So do I take it then, because I looked at all those, and I think everyone, if I'm not mistaken, everyone's got an increase on the right-hand side. And I was just wondering, does every single one need to be increased? And if they do I take it, is it apportionment for staff-related costs, or what is it? I'm not that brilliant on finance, but that'd be helpful.
I mean, through Chair, fees and charges we would ordinarily increase by inflation unless there's a reason to do something different, and that might be because you've got charges that are based on cost, but most of the charges here are licence fees. Some are statutory, and the others we've taken the decision that inflation is the right route to find. I wouldn't ordinarily promote not increasing fees and charges, because obviously our costs are going up by inflation. You can see from the leased employees perspective that's over 3%.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Osborne next.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The fees and charges element, I think we should be rightly proud as a council because they're easy to find, all in one place. When you look around at other authorities, there's a lot of delving into things to try and find the fees and charges there in somewhere and a policy, all in different areas. Ours are put all the way down, all up front. If you compare them to, like I've just said, other councils in this area and around us, we're competitive on most and cheaper than most. Even with the inflation rise, you can see that we've thought about it and thought about the customers who are paying for these licenses, fees and charges to put the least on that we possibly can. Now, other councils have put them up by 15, 20% in the past. So I think North Warwickshire stands in good stead, really. The basic charges that we put up are quite low. So I think we've done well again this year with fees and charges. Thank you.
If I just want to follow that, yeah, thank you. That's really good to hear. We have done quite a lot of work in terms of reformatting all of the fee charges pages this year to make them more accessible and easier to read. They will be published on the website as well in a way that they can be seen from the front page, because often what happens is they just get published on the back page and they're not accessible. So there are a couple of key things for me that is really important. They've got to be accessible in the ability to be able to read them, and then accessible in the ability to be able to find them. So they will be both. Well, I think they are, and they will be on the website.
Yeah, I think as a community leader, you're grateful for the work you've done there, because it's very sort of reasonable and understandable. My understanding is that I'm licensed and we're not supposed to make a profit. We're supposed to just cover our costs. Is that the case? Is that what we're doing?
Through chair, I mean that is the case on all fees and charges, because if you are, you're supposed to take them out of the general fund. I mean, there are lots of authorities. If you take something like car parking, for example, where they are way more than covering costs. But yeah, that's the general principle of fees and charges, that they should be there to cover costs and overall.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the budget? No. In that case, we'll ask you to agree to approve the revised budget, to approve the 2026 budget proposals, and to approve the fees and charges that we've just discussed. Are you moving that, Councillor Osborne? Yeah, that's been moved. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Bates, all in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 7 is the consultation on the statement of the licensing policy. Are you going to take us through this, Sharon?
Yeah, yes, thank you, Chair. This is our for the next 5 years. So the statement of licensing policy will take us through to 2031. And going forward, this is where if we'd have had quarterly meetings up to this point, we'd have probably heard this back in October, and we'd have had the consultation. We'll be talking about the policy. But this report is to decide for members to decide if you're happy for us to go out to consultation for this policy. We meet as a licensing technical group, I'm going to call it, with colleagues from Coventry and Warwickshire regularly, and basically we've all got the same policy. There's a few slight differences. We've obviously put the demographic and things of North Warwickshire in there. We put some extra bits on safeguarding and spiking and things like that into our policy. But pretty much we've across Coventry and Warwickshire, we've taken up on the same policy for the next 5 years. So it's to ask member support to go out to consultation.
Okay. Thank you. Members, do you have any questions for Sharon on this? Is that you, Councillor Fowler?
Yes, sorry, I was just looking through here. Thank you, Sharon. Just to help me as well, if I may, and probably other members, I've noticed that there was the 8.26 where it talks about the Challenge 25 scheme. And just for me, I was just thinking, it's challenge 25, what does that mean? And if it's for 25 and over, then there's obviously the 18 to the 24-year-olds. And then we've got explanation as well about open containers. And finally, I'd just like to say in that, in it as well, I'm so pleased to see where it's talked about violence against women and girls, promoting that in their establishments, and also about spiking and protecting children. So it's lovely to see those in there. But I just wondered what the 25 policy means and the open containers, please.
Yeah, through you, Chair, sorry. The Challenge 25 scheme is used nationally, not just in licensed premises, on sales, if you like, off sales. It's used in retail, and it's a Challenge 25. But if you look, I think if you look 25, then you'll be, and they challenge, and they can ask for proof of age. It's just more safeguard. If you leave it at challenge 18, it's too close to the lower age. It gives you that buffer to have the challenge 25, but it is used in many places. So we thought we'd put that into the policy as well. Extra safeguarding. And sorry, it was the open containers.
Yeah, sort of about. I'm knowing that where that some people actually, or some establishments will sell alcohol and take off premises. But I read somewhere where if they do that, they give them the bottle or the can when it's being sealed, so they can't drink it.
Yes, so we, sorry, Chair, through you, we wouldn't. So we're saying we wouldn't want bars to be selling open, and there isn't anywhere that I know of that would do that. They won't sell anything with that cap on. So we're just making sure that they do. It's an extra check that we can make when we go out and do our licensing compliance checks, that they are complying with this.
Thank you. Finally, Chair, I've raised this before, and it's a big bugbear of mine, and I'm sure that there's nothing that we can do about it, but I'll not name the establishments, and there's many of them, but there's an establishment in Coldshill where I often see people standing outside the front of the premises, not on the pavement, but actually the front of the premises, drinking, but more so smoking on those premises. And yet there are huts, or whatever you want to call them, usually at the rear of a building, where that's the designated area where they should go if they want to go outside. Well, obviously have to go outside anyway, but if they want to go and smoke a cigarette and obviously take their drink with them. I often see people standing outside, and it just seems that the licensee manager just doesn't seem to he or she to take any notice of it and just ignores it. I have mentioned it before, but I think what I can gather, Mr. Chairman, that we seem powerless to be able to do anything about it. And in particular, I'm concerned, as we talked about children, about the actual people passing establishments on the pavement with children, and where ladies and gents are just blowing their smoke straight into their faces. And I would is there anything that we can do to ask licensees to actually ensure that even with their regular customers, that they go to the rear of where they're supposed to be under law, I think, to enjoy a cigarette if they want to do that? Is there anything that could be done to you?
If I may, yes, we do. If we know that there are pubs that do that, there's no doubt about it. A lot of pubs have smoking shelters at the rear. It's just easier for patrons to go out the front, as you say. If we know it's happening, we will speak to them. There's obviously the littering aspect as well that comes as a result of that. So Councillor Fowler, if you let us know, we will certainly go out and speak to the manager, the DPS, whoever, and yeah, just let us know. We will definitely speak to them. Whether it'll just fall on deaf ears is another thing. But if we keep hearing about it and it keeps happening, then we can obviously escalate.
Yes, I'm grateful to Sharon, Chairman, for that, and I do know that yes, that is a trouble. You go and speak to them, and after a month or so, it slowly creeps back again. But it is unfair on adults who are non-smokers, and certainly in particular with our children. And it just annoys me from Mr. Chairman, where we're actually promoting about people not smoking around play areas. And yet they can walk past the establishment and just get a mouthful of smoke. It really, you know, and I know they tell me, oh, well, these are all regulars, we don't want to upset them. But what about the public, the health and safety? What about those people that have to smoke? Thank you, Sharon, anyway.
Thank you. I think, Councillor Fair, if you just keep raising these issues, and we can't just brush them under the carpet, but whether anything gets going on, just keep raising it. Councillor Osborne.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I had a chance to have a quick look through the policy before tonight. You can see where we've tried to tighten things up a little bit, and we've took notice, obviously, of some changes that have come along, and I think we've actually tried to get ahead of some of the things, so we're actually in front of some of the changes that are coming. That's good to see. The drink spiking, the violence against women, the promotion of public safety. Items like that is why I think we should be having quarterly meetings, because we should be discussing, are there any spiking trends in across North Warwickshire? That type of thing should be coming to this group to see whether the licensing can actually do anything about that, what checks we've made. If there are outdoor bars where they've sold alcohol, how has that gone? How's that been regulated? I know we've got a good track record on that, but this is the sort of thing that we need to be scrutinising, the violence against women and girls and other activities. I think we're very lucky that we've got an excellent CCTV service running in Atherstone that's got a good relationship with licensing. We have some spectacular results, and the police have got an amazing amount of faith in our CCTV. So hopefully that partnership will carry on from strength to strength. Then you've got the new community post that we've got coming up. So hopefully they'll match up with licensing as well, and they'll be giving us some intelligence. So again, this committee would be the ideal place for that sort of feedback. Thank you, Chair.
Are you asking to come in again, Councillor Fair?
Just very quickly, I certainly agree with what you've just said. The most frustrating thing for me, as far as Coleshill is concerned, we're trying to increase the CCTV, and you've got a great system down here in Atherstone, but Councillor Jarvis and myself have been trying for a long time. More so, Councillor Jarvis trying to see how we can actually link it all up, but it seems to be a bit of an endeavour to do that, and a very costly endeavour. But it would be so nice, and we got the same scenario, and Paul and others to do. But I know it's early days and a long time to come, I think. Thank you.
Councillor Jarvis.
Thanks, Chair. I think just expanding on what Councillor Fowler said, the key thing is the parishes having the appetite to do it. I think that's the key thing, because it's not free of charge. There are monitoring people upstairs that have to be paid, and the key movement that we found, and no disrespect to Paul, but we had several meetings with Paul 2-3 years ago, and I'm afraid that it said yes, it's possible, but then the appetite wasn't there, and it's never progressed. So I think a lot of the focus must go back to the parishes to say yes, we have the appetite. Then we can do this, the feasibility studies of looking at taking whoever's signal, putting it through to the guys upstairs, and doing the active monitoring.
Thanks, Ron. We're not actually here to discuss CCTV tonight, are we? Councillor Osborne.
Yeah, I'll make this really brief, because like you say, it's not CCTV. I don't think it's the appetite. It is the income at the time, but that may have changed. So these conversations along the motion that we put forward will help licensing, a joined up CCTV, a joined up policies through the licensing committee can only strengthen what we've got already in North Warwickshire.
Councillor Phillips.
Also, because I've been hearing about CCTV for so long now, for years, could we also have a helicopter as well? I mean, if we're going to talk so long about things that are never going to happen, can we have maybe half an hour on helicopters as well, and some floodlights and SWAT team?
Good negativity.
Maybe that could be one of our quarterly meetings.
Yeah.
We've got just
Nice negativity.
Well,
It's only
you have so long, you could plant legendary CCTV system at
I
any
think it's
point.
my prerogative and I'll be corrected by the chairman, but
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
was gonna say, so yeah,
Let's-
we go from, so
okay.
sitting here and listening to it for half an hour at a time, it comes up as.
Chair, can we
Okay,
move
so
on?
Councillor
Thank you.
Parsons, what's the?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, yes, we have looked at CCTV and whatever, but, at the end of the day, CCTV is incredibly expensive. Monitoring is more expensive. And it's not the appetite, it's actually our precinct isn't big enough. And that's, and we're not a small parish council. I know when you look at other parish councils, their precept is even less. We do our best. You can't, only doesn't grow on trees. You have to do what you can afford, essentially.
Let's keep the discussion to the policy that we're looking at to work this up. Does anyone else want to speak on it? Not on CCTV.
It's all been done, moving to them.
In that case, we've been asked to note the report and to agree the consultation statement sorted on to run from 26 to 31. Anyone want to move that?
Move it, Chair.
Councillor Fowler and Deputy Boyd. Absolutely. Thank you. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. And that brings us to the conclusion of the alcohol and gambling licence committee agenda.